people can do, so they're capable of so much more that than they remember. And we have that. I think we have a big crisis right now.
I would say out of all the people that you know, if you're ever in a helicopter and it goes down in the water, in the ocean, I'm the guy that you want to be sitting next to because probably no one else knows what to do.
Why do you do that?
I should have recorded that whole thing.
No. So, but that's what we're talking about, that people can do, so they're capable of so much more that than they remember. And if they just lost their job, or they feel they're not capable of anything, but that's not true. And we have that. I think we have a big crisis right now, and an inflation crisis in the US, also all over the world. And people lose their jobs and they believe they are not capable of anything, and that's not true. Like if you're in the middle of your life, like the two of us.
Yeah, it's a good I was just reading through this morning and just kind of going through, and it's amazing the things that you kind of forget about. So like um I have a high school diploma, but then after that I started to work and I kind of forgot like some of the different jobs that I had and the different kinds of trainings that I had. Um, like I was trained in sales in like the 90s
Mhm.
in and I was trained in some very kind of technical aspects of downhole equipment in the oil and gas industry and surface equipment too. And there's just like an enormous amount of knowledge there just around that. But then I got trained around like the safety part of that industry. And so I learned about the characteristics of hydrogen sulfide, which is a deadly gas, and but I also learned a whole bunch of other things, like for example, I would say out of all the people that you know, if you're ever in a helicopter and it goes down in the water, in the ocean, I'm the guy that you want to be sitting next to because probably no one else knows what to do. So that might seem like something that's, pretty unlikely to happen, but it's not just as there's skills that are just not just like applicable to that exact situation. It's about having so I actually was in a mock helicopter that got dunked into a swimming pool. So you learn things about yourself right away when you do something like that. Like how do you react to that kind of a situation? And when you're actually seat belted into a seat and then it's submerged in the water and turned upside down, that's a little weird. And how do you respond to that kind of situation? So you learn a lot about yourself and you gain skills from doing that kind of, it seems like a very, very specific training, but it really translates to so many areas of your life.
Yeah, in my life, I think about skills or forgotten skills. My biggest thing was always like, I'm from Europe, and in Europe, like the study system, the universities is a little different than in North America. Like it's very cheap in comparison to study. So it gets financed over the taxes. So if you study there like one semester, you have to pay like a fee of 300 euros, which is 500-ish Canadian dollars. And this is mostly to be part of the traffic system. Like you can use the buses and the underground trains for free if you pay that semester fee. So knowledge is basically free there. But I started two studies, like law and acting, and I didn't finish both of them. And so I was kind of feeling most of my life of not being very smart and not capable of finishing things. I always felt that other people are so much smarter than I, and they're so much more capable than I. And I always questioned the time that I studied because I thought that was a waste of time because I didn't get my diploma at the end. But what I realized in the last years, I gained so much knowledge. Like if I read law texts or contracts or anything like this, I'm very quickly able to understand what it's all about because the law language is very different to the normal language. I also, if I read a contract, I can go into the little details. And we have contracts like in our company with our clients. And for me, it's very important to understand what I write down there and also to explain to our clients what's in there. Like, I don't want to have any hidden paragraphs or any small down under hidden thingies and so that's a very valuable time of my life. And I also always wondered, why the heck did I study acting? What do I need it for? And I mean, I'm on camera every day, every single day. So I know a lot about how body language is working, how to express your feelings, how does it look for other people if I smile or if I don't. So I'm pretty aware of how important it is to speak a clear language so people can understand you. And I mean, English is not my native language. So, but I feel I'm still, you can understand me. So I'm doing my best. So this was not a waste of time. I know a lot about the senses because acting goes over the senses. And in coaching, it's also important to understand how you experience your outside world, how the senses are working. So it was not a waste time at all. And this is it's a big insight for me to understand that I'm capable. I'm so good. Like I just want to say I'm a genius. Like everyone is a genius. You are a genius too. Like we're all geniuses because we come to this world and we're not even able to learn to speak. We're not able to walk. We don't even know that this is a hand. We learn all this. So we're basically geniuses. And in the first 2 years, we make so big or such big progress. We learn so much. It's unbelievable. And we forget this. So this is a good talk to remind you you are a genius, like from birth. You just genius. And stop believing you're not capable of. That's BS.
It's a crying shame that there's people who because of the value that we put on the educational institutions that we have, and that's not to say that they're not valuable, but because of the way that we value them, we sort of forget that uh, the human mind is learning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's learning through every day of your life, you're learning. And you may not be learning in a classroom, while listening to a professor, but you're learning, and learning is learning. It's not um, that one type of learning has more value than the other. And I think that's a big problem that we have in our
Mm-hmm.
world today. We're kind of divided about how we sort of value the institutions. Um, I just want to touch on travel a little bit because in 2006 I went to Kazakhstan. I had never been to Europe or off the continent of North America. So, and I went to Kazakhstan for work, and it was one of the most interesting experiences of my life. I think I picked up a lot of things about a very different culture from ours. And I talked to a lot of people while I was there for 3 weeks. So it was really, what's the most interesting place that you've traveled to?
I feel that's a perspective thing. Like I've been to many, many, many interesting places in my life, and yeah, I don't want to judge on it. They were all interesting. I did amazing things. Like I was able to go with the Hurtigruten. That's a Norwegian That's a Norwegian post boat in origin. So Norway is pretty long. Like it from it's a not very wide country, but very long, like from south to north. And inside the country, the post, how do you say that? Post people, like the male people. It's difficult to transport it. That's what I want to say because they have mountains and they have areas where there's nothing. So it's too complicated. So they invented, I don't know when, a post or a mail boat. And so the mail boat goes along the coastline and it goes from south to north and back. And um, nowadays that's cruise ships, but back then it was just normal mail boats. And I was able to go on one of the last mail boats. What they also transport is like groceries and cars and all sorts of stuff. And you can go there as a tourist. And so they have like, I mean, every hour or something, they stop somewhere because they load and unload also in the night. But it's just so amazing. You see the Northern Light, you cross the, what's that called? That one pole. I forgot the name, I'm sorry. And
The North Pole?
no, you cross that. There's one, I don't know the word for it. I can look it up and write it in the
Uh,
comments.
the
I don't know.
the Arctic Circle.
Yes, yes, you cross it. And then in the boat they make like a little show out of it. There comes one of the stuff people and is dressed like the god of the ocean, Neptune. What's the name in English? I don't know. And they give you a oh, that's today it's difficult with the English word. They give you what's it called in the church? Little kids, they get baptized. Is it baptized? So this Neptune, the god of the ocean, gives you a, I think it's Aquarius, maybe? Is it Aquarius? Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And he gives you like a baptize because you cross that circle. So what they do is they you kind of kneel down or you bend your head and then they kind of give you like ice water down your back. Like it's a it's literally with ice cubes and ice cold water. And after that, you get a herb liquor. And so you have like a baptism. This is just a fun show, but it's fun. This was one of my most amazing trips. This is the nature one. Then, yeah, Canada. Canada is one of my most amazing trips. And in Europe, I've been to South Africa, but that was nothing that it was okay, but it was not for me. And I have two favorite areas in Europe, which I am addicted to. That's Brittany in France. That's amazing because of the culture and the ocean and the combination of culture and nature. And I'm probably my favorite city is Rome because of the history. I'm so much into history and architecture. So Rome is, in my opinion, the place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn so much when you travel, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Um,
I was blessed to travel so much.
yeah, yeah. So I picked up the guitar a few years ago. I don't know,
Hmm
5 years ago maybe now. Knowing um almost nothing about music in general and just picked it up and started playing. The cool thing about that was cool for me at least about learning how to play guitar is that I could start with no skill and no knowledge and
hmm
make a couple of sounds. And it actually wasn't that long before I was putting together songs. So I think one of the mistakes we make in in teaching children music is that we try to make them understand the structure of the music, the notes and the theory and all that stuff. And it's not unimportant, but it shouldn't be the first thing that you learn. Do you what sort of hobbies have contributed to your knowledge base?
Reading, reading, reading. I'm a book. In Germany, you say I'm a bookworm. I think I don't know if you say that here. I'm a reader. Like, I'm a absolute passionate reader. Yeah. I spent, I think it started, so my parents told me it started really right before school when I started learning to read. And since then, I never stopped. I always had problems with my mom because, like, during school time, I read until 4 o'clock in the night under a blanket with a flashlight. And yeah, because I was so, yeah, I'm a reader. And I just thought about that everything that you learn, like you said, is learning. It totally doesn't matter if you're passionate about something. So in school, in my opinion, the school system failed here because what we do in school is we take the students in their worst classes and give them additional training to make them better in things they don't like, instead of motivating them to make them better in things that they're passionate about, that they're like. For example, some people like mathematics and some people like languages. It's not one or the other, but some people are totally passionate about learning languages and they're not so passionate about learning mathematics. Instead of giving this student a second language to learn because they're so fired up and they want to know all that, they give them extra training in math. So what we do here is we basically tell the students, hey, you're not good enough. You have to get, as a punishment, you have to do more of what you don't like, instead of rewarding someone doing something that he loves. And yeah, I feel that's a mistake in the system here, that we don't reward and encourage students to do something that they really enjoy, because if you get really passionate about something, you don't stop it. You just don't stop. You want more and more and more of it. And this can be baking. This can be gardening. This can be it can also be watching a show. You're so fascinated about watching a show that you kind of think about how this could go on, and how what you maybe you want to write a show yourself. Like, because you're so fascinated or you're interested in the technical part of, like, recording a show. Maybe you want to be a director. Like, we shrink ourselves. We're that wonderful little geniuses that come to this world and we're capable of everything, anything. Nothing is impossible. And then we forget it. That's a shame.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better now. When I was in high school, there was like three options that you could take. It was like you could take shop, or you could take shop, or you could take um home ec. Home economics was like cooking and sewing and stuff like that. And then there was like the small shop, which was like working with plastics and wood and stuff like that. And then there was the big shop, which was working with metal and stuff like that. And that was pretty much it. That was pretty much my options. Now I go to my daughter's school and they have a full on garage in there, like for cars. So you can take your car in there and take it apart and put it all back together, just completely rebuild it. They're equipped for that. They have a wood shop that's just a wood shop where they're building like cabinetry and stuff like that. Like I was building little, like I built a box for the cat to sleep in. Like so so it's a lot different now. They're a lot better funded, I think, for those different kinds of things. And yeah, yeah, pretty crazy.